February 12th, Actors Express Theater, Platinum Championship Wrestling back in Atlanta, Georgia. Stephen Platinum back in Platinum Championship Wrestling. I have never gotten to be a part of a PCW show at Actors Express, and now, as I'm winding up my in-ring career, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in the same place with Reverend Dan Wilson, a gentleman I respect very much, but who I never have been on a wrestling card with. Oscar Worthy, who I'm very familiar with. Jeff G. Bailey, who I hate like cancer. Miss Rachel, who probably has the clap. We're all going to be there. Actors Express, February 12th in Atlanta, Georgia. I can't wait for Odyssey. You see, like Ulysses, I have been on an Odyssey myself. I have had a long wrestling career. I don't talk about it in terms of years, but if you factor in when I was trained, I've been doing this stuff for 20 years. More than 20 years. That's a long time. I'm turning 42 years old. And at Actors Express on February 12th, something very special is going to happen. You see, my last match is going to be that Saturday in Porterdale, Georgia against Shane Marks. But on February 12th, my Odyssey, I'm going to team with Rick Michaels and Simon Sermon, better known as the Exotic Ones, to take on Shane Marks, Siler Cross, and the PCW champion, Chip Day. Jeff G. Bailey will be there at ringside. Miss Rachel will be there at ringside. Let me tell you something about Simon Sermon, Rick Michaels, and I. I met Rick Michaels through Simon Sermon. PCW was still doing shows at the Jungle, and Simon Sermon was trying to help his friend, Rick Michaels. So you see, Rick Michaels, nobody would book him. Nobody would have anything to do with him except for Simon Sermon, who was and is a true friend to Rick. So Simon and Rick came to me and asked if I would book Rick on a PCW show. Now, PCW was just getting momentum, and I was worried about every move we were making. And Sacred Ground, the first one, was right around the corner, and I couldn't afford to make any mistakes. And Rick Michaels was a bit of a hot potato, especially back then. But Simon Sermon, Rick Michaels, their bond as friends, it meant something to me. Their bond as friends meant something to me. And when I looked in Rick's eyes, and with tears in his eyes, he wanted another chance. He just wanted to be a part of wrestling again. I weighed the risks involved, and I took Rick on, and I'm glad I did. And Simon and Rick and I, we've argued, we've fought against each other, we've collaborated with one another, we've broken bread together. Simon and Rick have shed blood against each other and for each other. Simon, Rick, and I are going to team for the first and last time, February 12th, at the Actors Express Theater for PCW's Odyssey. It is the very definition of a unique event. Can you imagine our entrance alone, what that's going to look like? It's going to be fabulous. But while all eyes are going to be on us at the Actors Express, during our entrance, I want everybody in the audience to just take one little second, to look over at the other side of the ring, at our opponents. I want you to look at Chip Day, who's going to be wearing that PCW title. and so smug and proud of himself. I want you to look at Siler Cross, that's going to be projecting that image as the monster that he believes himself to be. I want you to look at Shane Marks, who's going to look angry and furious, and he's going to be looking right at me. That's all well and good. You can also take a look at Rachel, who's going to be smarmy and the same smug little bitch that she always is. That's all well and good. But the person that I really want you to look at, I want you to look at Jeff G. Bailey. And here's why. You see, it's going to be a gunfight. Rick, Simon, and I are the old gunfighters. Come out for one last shoot 'em up together. And the gunfight isn't won by the newest guns. The gunfight isn't won by the biggest guns. And their side of the ring has all of that. The gunfight is won by the gunfighters that have been through it all, that trust one another implicitly, and will take their time, aim, and fire with perfect aim. That's me and Rick and Simon. So the person that you should look at on the other side of that ring on February 12th, while Simon, Rick, and I are making our way to the ring, you should look at Jeff G. Bailey. Because he's the only person on that side of the ring that's seen it all and done it all. And you're going to see something from Jeff G. Bailey that you've never seen before. Jeff G. Bailey is going to look terrified because he's the only one smart enough to know that his guys are about to get their asses kicked.